For Stadio, a qualification isn't just a qualification. It's more students inspired to reimagine their possibilities. With 5 faculties, 10 campuses and over 50 accredited qualifications, undergraduate and postgraduate studies, contact, distance and blended learning, we're transforming higher education into something that's truly multi-faculty, multi-campus and multi-mode. Stadio, a new vision in higher education.
Bart, welcome on a very sad note. We've just heard that Musi Manyeke has been found. A horrible way a horrible time for his family. You scouted him yourself, no?
Yeah, Carl, really a sad day. We all prayed and hoped for his safe return after his disappearance, and heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, JP Boys, where he's played such a huge leadership role, and he's been an exemplary young man in what he has done, not only on the rugby and sports field, but also amongst his peers. And so yes, we really feel for the whole of the community, but especially so his family.
Yeah, it's not time to fault or to blame anybody, but I'm still worried about the support that these kids get, especially when their contract is not renewed and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, on a sad note, but I think on a even, shall we call it sadder note? Is it such a word in English? Yeah, after our program on is a Rugby Academy a scam, we've had 1,000,002 responses. Some of the academies did contact me and say, yeah, but who gives us the right to rate them? Nobody gave us the right to rate them. We're here to inform the public. We're here to inform the parents. That's our job from my side. I don't know if you want to add something else, but we're not here to play blame or anything. We're here to see, does the Rugby Academy qualify to be called an academy?
Yeah, Carl, I think that's a very valid question. How do we get to that question? But I think what is important is that, like you say, we're not here to compare or rate as such, although there are very clear objectives and criteria laid down by SARU. Whether they are applicable nowadays or not, I'm not sure. Whether they are enforced, I'm not sure. At one point, not too long ago, a year, 2, 3 ago, academies were rated, could apply, and according to these criteria, be evaluated and rated in terms of, a set of criteria that we know exists. So the fact of the matter is, it is desperate times for our youths at the moment and our young rugby players. Through Ruggers, you are inundated with calls and questions from parents and players alike, and also questioning the fact that we have an explosion of so-called academies. So firstly, to be able to call yourself an academy, do you know what the criteria actually are? That is the question. Before you can call yourself an academy in South Africa, in a South African rugby context. So those are the questions that we are asking. And we would like to inform people, parents and players, of what is actually going on out there. By just referring them to a website is not sufficient. You don't get all the information there. So I honestly feel that we have a role. We are questioned because we are sitting in sort of right in the middle of the industry and the youth rugby industry at the moment. And therefore, if we are going to be questioned, we will investigate and inform people according to the information we have.
Yeah, and we're not going on a witch hunt. I mean, there's been allegations made of people that's been employed at SARU and at the same time is also employed by rugby academies and misusing their powers and everything. But it doesn't bother me, okay? There is questions to be asked of that relationships and everything, and it's valid questions that the people raise. But the education side doesn't bother me, because you can't equip a child for a year or 2 years with an education from a rugby academy that's going to put him into an employable state. So the main question will be, does the academy add value to the kid's promises, his potential, and does they create a pathway for him to be employed at a union or wherever? I think that's our main concern. You've got a questionnaire that was drawn up by SARU a few years ago. You want to go through them? That's the questions that we feel that the parents must ask when they go and visit an academy.
Yeah, I think it's very clear, Carl. And again, like I say, these are not applicable, enforceable criteria as far as my recollection is. Previous people in charge of these criteria are not at SARU anymore. I'm not even sure whether these criteria are fully enforced, but I do think these are criteria that was thought out and really researched by SARU themselves, by the junior structure of SARU themselves, and they all make out very good and valid reading. From my background and my involvement in with junior rugby at all levels, I feel that this is a very good guideline. I would actually maybe even add some criteria to it. But the fact of the matter is, there's certain main headings under which any parent or player should question the validity, or not so much the validity, the quality of service that you're going to get from an academy, and whether it is applicable to you as a player. Because you cannot say that every player in South Africa, my door is open to you, I will be able to provide your needs, because you're not going to be able to do so, as you will have applications of players from the lower end of the scale in terms of talent right up to the higher end of the scale. And for you to be really fully equipped to provide in every player's needs, you gotta have to be very well equipped in terms of coaching staff, planning and management.
And you must be honest with the kids and the parents also. I had an interesting talk this morning with one of the major top 4 unions personnel, and I asked him the question, what's the chance of a rugby academy or delivering a Springbok through his system and everything? And he said to me, no. If I don't contract the guy at under 19 level, and he's not contracted by any of the unions or universities, he will not make it to the top. That's how thorough he sees the system of the scouting in South Africa. So that the first thing is, and Bart will go through a few questionnaires, or a few questions on his piece of paper there. But the first question you must ask, or the academy must answer to you, is what's his promises? Because he can't promise you to make you a Springbok. It's impossible. He can't promise you to make you a provincial rugby player. I don't think it's going to happen, Bart. But what's the question? What's the questions that the parents must ask?
Carl, maybe just to add to what you're saying, as part of the criteria is a new academy obviously has absolutely no backing, no tracking, no evidence. So they can't tell you where your kid's going to go from here. You are providing an opportunity, which is good. Maybe in an industry at the moment that doesn't have a lot of opportunities, especially for kids after school, we understand that this is an opportunity to a rugby player. But even very well settled academies in South Africa that's been here for years, let they send us their numbers in terms of how many players have been had representation at Super Rugby level and at Springbok level. I'm not talking about a very talented, promising player taken on a bursary and fast-tracked through a short academy program and then ending up at the top. I'm not talking about those players. I'm talking about a player that's gone through your program and really progressed through that program to the highest level. Give me that numbers and then we can talk. So just to answer your question about expectation. So expectations have got to be managed. You've got to be honest with the parents in terms of, I'm giving your kid an opportunity with this quality kind of coaching staff, with this quality kind of coaching program, and that is what he's going to get. No commitments made, no promises made, and you can't even promise exposure to any specific unions, doesn't matter where you are located. It's as easy as that. Unfortunately, we've seen all of these movies in the past. If we look at the SARU criteria checklist that has been drafted back in 2015, you look at a staff complement where there's specific guidelines in terms of transformation, which is completely in line with SARU's strategy at this stage with regards to transformation at player level, at coaching level, at management level. So are any of these academies in line with that complement? So my question is if you want to be an academy that provides service to the South African, the broader public of South Africa, then you've got to be in line with the Transformation Charter of South Africa. That's something I need to throw out there, otherwise you are not representative. It's as easy as that. So staff-wise, there's certain criteria, just maybe emphasizing some of them. Over and above the normal coaching staff, a full-time S&C trainer. Do you have someone that can really take the boys physically ahead? A technical analyst available at all times. You're looking at coaching and trainers aligned with a provincial strategy. So this is a very important thing. Even before you can go the route of saying that I'm a SARU accredited academy, you've got to communicate with the local union and say, listen, I'm rolling out the academy service here that would most likely assist you if it's in Johannesburg, you the Lions, and there's got to be some communication and some form of accreditation between you and the union. Otherwise, what are the purpose of you doing this? Or are you putting an academy in Joburg to make sure that there's players ending up in Cape Town, to use that as an analogy. So it's about rugby level accreditation. SARU is insisting that World Rugby Level 2 accreditation should be a minimum level. In my mind, the head coach of an academy should at least be a World Rugby Level 3. But that's a personal opinion. There should be a minimum of one coach for every 15 players. That's SARU accredited. And this is not thumbsuck, it is really based on research and coaching research that's been done. Is this something that the academies adhere to? Do they foresee a certain number that is in line with this guideline? Those are questions that need to be asked from the parent side. And conditioning trainers to assist as per one trainer per 10 players. That's a guideline. You cannot fulfill fully in the coaching complement conditioning wise if you really more than 10 players per conditioning coach. So that is just the staff. If you look at a player complement, obviously determined by your coaching staff, but very often, more than often, you cannot look at a group of bigger than between 30 and 35 players. That should be a maximum. You're looking at two groups, maybe a maximum / minimum, for the mere reason that you would have two groups that could train against each other, and preferably therefore have two players per position, plus a complement of critical reserve.
Yeah, I see SARU said a minimum of 36 players, and there must be 2 players per position.
Yes, which makes sense. I know that even in the situation that we find ourselves now, there are certain, and we'll most likely feature some of them. We've already featured some of similar institutions in the foreseeable future. You could have a high performance center and not really sell yourself as an academy that provides a on-field opportunity to players. If you provide high performance services where you're looking at critical skills that needs to be developed, it can take place outside of the playing environment, but then you don't sell yourself as an academy for that matter. Where certain strengthening exercises take place, where decision making stuff is learned to or taught to the players, and other high performance aspects. So that is something different. But then you, in my mind, should not call yourself an academy. Then you call yourself a high performance center that provides high performance guidelines. You're looking at age groups. So SARU's guideline is 23 and younger. So even if you look at that number, you could have a spread of anything between 18 and 23. So that's already quite a broad base. It's already quite a broad base. We've been critical about the fact that we have actually seen some of these so-called academies happy to accept people of right up to 26 years of age. So I've got serious questions about that.
Yeah, but we're running out of time. But with this article also, we'll put all the questionnaire or all the points that you must ask the academy and investigate if they really can comply with. Okay, so, but that's basic. We're not fighting with the academies. We're not saying you there's no place for you in the system. All we're saying is be honest with what you can do and then sell yourself. The market will decide by itself if you can ask 140,000 or 20,000 Rand for your services per year. But yeah, this is, it turns out to be quite exciting, but there's a lot of people unhappy and a few people happy with us.
Carl, I think we're doing more credit and favors than disfavors. So the point here is we are happy to see opportunities for rugby players created where there hasn't been any. It's just a question of don't take the mickey out of this. Don't make it a business model that need to pay salaries. Make sure that we are providing a service in a context where service are needed, and make sure that you're in line with basic criteria. And I would like to know whether SARI has been questioned on the criteria that they have set in general for academies by all of these so-called or new academies that's starting up. That would have been a good starting point. If you did that and you're trying to adhere to that, brilliant. Then we are happy. It is about additional and extra opportunities created for our boys. Be honest and make sure that you don't sell a business model. Make sure that you sell an opportunity for a kid where he does not have an opportunity, and that is different.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot.